Previously on the Fan of History, Ashurnasirpal II is the king of the universe. He has beat every foe, he has taken all the area to the Euphrates, and everybody's scared of Assyria. And he will now make a push to the Mediterranean to reclaim the Middle Assyrian Empire. Welcome to the Fan of History. I am the Fan of History, and we're going to talk about what happened in the 870s BC. This is part 2, so please watch part 1, The Lord of Massacres. Also watch the Great Civilizations of the World in 900 BC for an overview of the peoples of this age. So, everyone is scared of this guy. He's Ashurnasirpal II, the strong king of Assyria. He has a religious duty to beat everyone in honor of his god Ashur, the god of war. And his goal is to reclaim all the territory of the Middle Assyrian Empire. And remember, this was the goal of his father and his grandfather as well. Because once his ancient line of forefathers controlled all this area that they want to reclaim. So he starts by taking a break. He has to check on the building projects. His city of Kala is not finished. And here is Ashurnasirpal II relaxing with some weird god giving him a back rub. But during this time, Ashurnasirpal makes great reforms and straightens the administration of the empire. He installs governors and he uses eunuchs as governors because he wants to prevent hereditary governors. And hereditary governors is a classical problem of old empires. It will appear later and haunt the Assyrian Empire. The tributes are extremely heavy. A lot of countries are now paying tribute to the Assyrians. But they're paying a lot of tribute and they're not receiving anything for it. They're not receiving help from the Assyrians if they are attacked by barbarians beyond the borders. And they are really only looking for reason to rebel, but they can't rebel against a king as strong as this. But it also means that Ashurnasirpal II has to keep his army in operation. Because if he lets go of the army, if he looks weak, he will fall. So he decides to go big. But before we talk about that, we have to talk about the rest of the world. I haven't forgotten. The Assyrian sources are so good, and the story of the Assyrian Empire is so exciting that I could forget about other countries, but I'm not. India, sadly, there are so weak sources. I don't really know what happens when, so I need help with this. There's great problems with dating anything. We are in the Vedic times. Kuru and Panchala are great kingdoms. In 874 BC, China strikes back against the Western Rong. And there's a guy called Ku Kong who leads a successful attack against the Western Rong, the barbarians that invaded China in the last episode. And he captures 1,000 horses. Take that, Western Rong. So in 874 BC, Omri dies. He ruled Israel for maybe 10 years. And his son is Ahab. Ahab becomes the king of Israel this year. The years are disputed, and he has at some point married Jezebel, the daughter of King Ithobal I of Tyre. She is the Jezebel of the Bible, so if you read the Bible, you know a bit about Jezebel. She is a very strong woman, and there's a lot of things to say about her, and we'll talk about her later. But not anymore in this episode. There is a strong Phoenician influence on Israel, and the worship of Baal, the main Phoenician god, is rampant in Israel. But there are also worshippers of Yahweh, the Lord, and they are not happy. And there are some prophets who are running around telling Ahab, and as they earlier told Omri, that his kingdom will not do well if it doesn't obey Yahweh. And among these buzzkill prophets are Elijah and Micaiah. The Olmecs are having a great time in La Venta. Their greatest time is not yet, but things are going well for the Olmec. The Maya is hanging around in Yucatan, thinking that the Olmecs are really great and powerful. And the Olmecs are writing stuff down, but we have no idea what they say. In 872 BC, Takelot I of Egypt dies. He ruled Egypt from 885 to 872 BC. He is succeeded by his son Osorkan II. He was a poorly documented pharaoh of the 22nd dynasty. And he's reburied by his son in his son's own tomb for some weird reason. This is the only picture we have of Takelot I of his sarcophagus. And he ruled over only half of Egypt. Osorkan then becomes the pharaoh of Egypt for Lower Egypt, Egypt close to the Mediterranean. He's stronger than his father and he's really worried that his kingdom is divided. But he's even more worried that the Assyrians are growing this powerful. If Ashurnasirpal II keeps this up, Egypt will be in trouble. There's also then Harsiasi, who still rules Upper Egypt from Thebes. And in Luxor, there is an exceptionally high flood of the Nile this year, so the temple floors are covered by water. The Chavin are hanging around in Peru, turning into jaguars and eating hallucinogenic cacti and building great things. But most of the examples of their architecture is from much later periods, so we will talk about that later. In Europe, civilization is appearing again. We have the Villanovans hanging around in Italy. Greece is still in the Dark Age. I made a video about the Greeks and what they're up to right now, so there's a special video about that on the YouTube channel. And the Phoenicians have colonies in Spain. Villanovans, earliest Iron Age culture in Italy. In 2013, it was proved that the Etruscan is indigenous to Italy since at least 5,000 years. There has been a lot of wild theories about the origin of the Etruscans, because there were some similarities, for example, to some Anatolian genes. But those similarities go back 5,000 years. So the Etruscans are not Indo-Europeans, and they have been around in Italy a long time, and the Villanovans are the ancestors of the Etruscans, so there is no Etruscan mystery. The Etruscans are funny because they are considered so mysterious, but we actually know very much about them, so they are not very mysterious at all. But we'll talk more about that in 700 BC when the Etruscans themselves arrive on the scene. The Villanovans are trading on the Amber Road. What's that? Well, it's a commercial route that has been going on since 1600 BC. You could actually find Baltic amber beads in the breast ornament of Tutankhamun. And he was a New Kingdom pharaoh long before this. Amber was also sold to Asia along the Silk Road. So there's actually amber from the Baltic appearing in Asia. The Nordic Bronze Age culture is influenced by the amber trade, and yay, I got to mention Sweden. Look, there's Sweden up here. I am from Sweden, and we actually made something that somebody noticed before, the Vikings. That's awesome. Back to the real action. In 872 BC, Ashurnasirpal II decides that the time has come for the big push. He will try to restore the full Middle Assyrian Empire and accomplish the goal of his father and grandfather and his great-grandfather. His first destination is Carchemish under King Sangara, but Sangara has already yielded to Ashurnasirpal, so he supplies troops and supplies. The Bitadini, they pay tribute because they don't want to get massacred again. Everybody who is nearby sends tribute to Ashurnasirpal, so his army is actually strengthened into the most powerful army he has ever had. So he marches on towards the Mediterranean. There he encounters the kingdom of Patin. This is probably an Aramean kingdom, is ruled by a guy called Lubarna. Lubarna yields immediately. He doesn't want to face the massacres. And Ashurnasirpal crosses the Orontes river remember the Orontes River, because it will become important later. And he's still in the kingdom of Patin, but then he decides that this place is nice, I'm gonna annex part of your country. And he builds an Assyrian outpost in Aribua, south of the Orontes. And he moves Assyrians there. And Lubarna, he's like, I don't dare say anything. And Ashurnasirpal is like, you are gonna give them food and supplies. And Lubarna is, of course I am. So it's time to move into the Lebanon. Ashurnasirpal goes north and west from Aribua, and nobody dares oppose the great king. So from beneath the historic cedars, the cedar trees of Lebanon, an Assyrian king once again looks out over the sea. When Sargon himself marched here, it was sparsely populated. But now Ashurnasirpal has walked through a densely populated area filled with mighty armies, and they have just yielded to him. It is a massive success. But what about the Phoenicians? Remember, the Phoenicians, they like big empires because they are great for trading with it. They have done plenty of trading with the Assyrians already. But here we have Ashurnasirpal himself talking about the Phoenicians.
The tribute of the seacoast from the inhabitants of Tyre, Sidon, Byblos, Mahalata, Kaisa, Amaru, and Arvad, which is an island in the sea, consisting of gold, silver, tin, copper containers, linen garments with multicolored trimmings, large and small monkeys, ebony, boxwood, ivory from walrus tusk, a product of the sea. This is their tribute I received, and they embraced my feet.
There are some things to note here. Cyprus is paying tribute to him, but I don't think he actually went to Cyprus. I don't know if any Assyrians went to Cyprus at this point. But Cyprus is submitting to Ashurnasirpal as well. We also note that Ashurnasirpal does not take a pleasure cruise on the Mediterranean like Tiglath-Pileser did in the Middle Assyrian Empire. So what does all this mean? Well, the mission is accomplished.
With the support of the god Ashur, my lord, I kept marching along difficult routes and over rugged mountains with the mass of my troops, and there was no equal to me.
That's what he said. The Middle Assyrian Empire is reclaimed, and the kingdoms of Israel and the Phoenicians, they have shown their weakness. They didn't fight. There was no need for Ashurnasirpal to go there even. And the Middle Assyrian Empire is reclaimed. So what will the great king do next? We're gonna find out in the next episode, but first I want to introduce a little something. This is the victim list of the Neo-Assyrian empires. Some kingdoms have submitted, but 4 kingdoms so far have been totally annihilated. The Temanites are gone, the kingdom of Sukkot gone, the kingdom of Samoa in the Zagros mountains gone, the kingdom of Lak gone. I might have missed some here. Let me know if I missed some that I've said that he eradicated. So next time we're going to talk about the events of the 860s BC. Will anyone dare oppose Ashurnasirpal II? What about Babylon? Will his city ever be finished? And what will he do with this powerful, restless army? I will release this on the 7th of July 2014. Is that right? Yeah. You can discuss the show with me on YouTube or on Facebook. Please, if you like this, I have received some requests. Do I want Bitcoins or PayPal and stuff? Don't bother with that. Maybe we'll talk about that on the podcast, because we're about to launch a podcast. Maybe we already have when you watch this. But the one thing I'll ask of you is subscribe to this channel, like the videos, and share the videos with your friends if they like history. Because the growth of the channel is what helps keep me going. I will probably go on to cover the whole Neo-Assyrian Empire, no matter what happens. I promised 800 BC. Yeah, thank you for watching, and let me know what you like and don't like about the show.